A more intelligent way to think about relationships starts with one uncomfortable truth. Connection is not automatically a benefit. A lot of people were trained to think that if someone wants them, chooses them, or stays with them, that alone makes the relationship valuable. It does not. A relationship only becomes valuable when it improves the quality of your life in a meaningful and sustainable way. That means it should support clarity, not confusion. It should support peace, not constant recovery. It should support your goals, not keep pulling you away from them. It should make your life more stable, not more chaotic. This is where many people get misled. They use attraction as proof. They use chemistry as proof. They use emotional intensity as proof. But strong feelings are not the same thing as strong foundations. A person can feel exciting and still be destructive. A connection can feel intense and still be completely wrong for your future. A more intelligent standard is this: stop asking only how strongly you feel. Start asking what pattern you are entering. Does this person create clarity or doubt? Do they respect time, boundaries, and effort? Do they make daily life easier or harder? Are you becoming more focused, more disciplined, and more grounded through this connection? Or more distracted, more reactive, and more drained? That is the real test. Not how flattering it feels in the beginning, but what it steadily builds over time. Because being chosen is not the goal. Building a life that remains strong, peaceful, and expandable is the goal. Do you think most people choose relationships based on real patterns or just strong emotions? A more intelligent way to think about growth is to stop treating growth like motivation and start treating it like selection. Most people think growth means forcing themselves to do more, trying harder, pushing longer, or waiting to feel inspired. But real growth is usually not about intensity. It is about choosing better inputs, better habits, better environments, and better standards before life makes the decision for you. Growth is not just what you do, it is what you stop allowing. Sometimes the biggest upgrade in your life is not a new opportunity. It is removing what keeps draining your attention. The wrong relationship, the wrong social circle, the wrong work pattern, the wrong daily habits, the wrong need for approval. All of these things quietly slow growth while pretending to be normal. This is why intelligent growth requires observation. You need to observe what actually improves your mind, your health, your skills, your money, your energy, and your future. Then you need to be strict enough to keep what works and remove what does not. That is where many people fail. They stay emotionally loyal to patterns that are no longer useful. They protect what is familiar instead of what is effective. They keep sacrificing progress for comfort. But comfort is not always safety. Sometimes comfort is just repeated stagnation. A better question is not, "What do I feel like doing today?" A better question is, "What repeatedly moves my life in the right direction?" That is how real growth becomes sustainable. Not by waiting for perfect moods, but by respecting patterns, protecting energy, and choosing what strengthens you over time. What has helped your growth more? Adding better habits or removing the wrong people and distractions? When you think about relationships and growth together, everything becomes clearer. The wrong relationship does not just affect your emotions. It affects your discipline, your concentration, your self-respect, your money, your decisions, your time, and your future. That is why this topic has to be treated intelligently, not romantically. People often separate love from life design, as if one belongs to feelings and the other belongs to logic. But that separation causes damage, because the people you let close will influence your habits, your stress level, your standards, your confidence, and the direction of your life more than you realize. So the real question becomes, does this relationship fit the life I am trying to build? Not the fantasy, not the temporary high, not the potential, the real life. Does it support your peace? Does it support your growth? Does it make your mind clearer? Does it leave room for ambition, discipline, health, and financial stability? Or does it keep demanding that you shrink, adjust, wait, explain, and recover? A more intelligent life is built through alignment. Your relationships should align with your values. Your habits should align with your future. Your attention should align with your goals. Your standards should align with the quality of life you want to protect. That is what mature thinking looks like. Not chasing whatever feels strongest in the moment, but selecting what can actually hold up over time. Because growth without good selection creates exhaustion, and relationships without growth create limitation. The strongest life is built when both work together. Clear standards, peaceful connections, and a future that keeps getting stronger instead of smaller. Does the life you want actually match the kind of relationships you are allowing right now? Most people are taught to select first and observe later. They get attracted, excited, emotionally invested, and then they start collecting information. That is backwards. And that one mistake is responsible for years of confusion, wasted time, broken trust, and avoidable pain. Observation before selection changes everything because it forces you to slow down long enough to see reality before attachment starts distorting it. When people move too fast, they do not choose based on patterns. They choose based on hope. They choose based on chemistry. They choose based on attention. They choose based on fantasy. And once emotions get involved, the mind starts defending what it wants instead of assessing what is actually there. That is why people miss obvious signs in the beginning. They are not looking for truth. They are looking for confirmation. But real observation asks better questions. How does this person behave when things do not go their way? How do they handle frustration, delay, boredom, or boundaries? Do they create clarity or confusion? Do they keep their word without needing pressure? Do they respect your time, energy, and standards? That is where real information lives, not in first impressions, not in charming words, not in a few intense conversations, in patterns. The more important the choice, the more observation you need. This applies to relationships, business, friendships, work partnerships, and even opportunities. If you select too early, you start investing before you have evidence. If you observe first, you protect your future from avoidable mistakes. Selection should come after reality, not before it. Have you ever realized too late that you selected based on emotion before you had enough real evidence? Observation before selection is not about becoming cold, cynical, or overly suspicious. It is about becoming accurate. A lot of people think being open means trusting quickly. It does not. Being open means being present enough to see clearly. Trust should not be handed out as a personality trait. It should be built as a response to repeated evidence. This is where many people go wrong. They think attraction is data. They think effort at the start is proof of character. They think someone being expressive, intense, or emotionally available for a short period means they are stable. But early effort is cheap. Consistency is what costs something. Anyone can perform for a moment. Anyone can say the right words. Anyone can seem aligned when everything is easy. The real question is what remains true over time. Observation means you stop getting hypnotized by beginnings. You watch how someone behaves across different conditions. You watch whether their words match their actions. You watch whether their energy stays respectful when they are disappointed. You watch whether they can handle honesty without punishment. You watch whether their presence adds structure to your life or starts creating noise. That kind of observation saves people from making loyalty commitments to people who have not earned them. And this is the deeper shift. Once you start observing before selecting, you stop chasing what feels good in the moment and start choosing what can actually hold up in reality. That is a major life upgrade. Because a bad selection can cost you peace, time, money, discipline, opportunities, and years of recovery. Observation is not hesitation. Observation is intelligent filtering. What pattern do you think people ignore most in the beginning because they want the connection to work? The strongest part of observation before selection is that it puts your power back in your hands. When people select too early, they become emotionally dependent on the outcome. They start wanting the person, the relationship, the opportunity, or the future idea to work so badly that they stop seeing clearly. They begin negotiating against themselves. They lower standards. They excuse what should be disqualifying. They stay attached to potential instead of responding to facts. Observation interrupts that process. It creates space between stimulus and decision. It gives you time to think. It gives people time to reveal themselves. It helps you separate what is real from what is just emotionally stimulating. And once you start doing that, your standards become stronger without becoming rigid. You stop needing perfect people, but you also stop tolerating obvious instability, disrespect, inconsistency, and confusion. That is what intelligent selection looks like. It is not built on fantasy. It is not built on pressure. It is not built on fear of missing out. It is built on evidence. A good rule is simple. Do not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Let time test things. Let patterns speak. Let consistency prove itself. Let your peace stay intact long enough for your judgment to stay sharp. Because the goal is not just to be chosen. The goal is to choose well. And people who choose well usually do one thing differently. They do not rush to attach. They watch first. They listen first. They assess first. Then they decide. Observation before selection changes everything because it replaces wishful thinking with clarity. And clarity protects your future. What would improve in your life first if you started observing longer before making important choices? A lot of people trust chemistry far more than they should. They meet someone, feel a strong pull, and immediately assume it means something important. They think intensity means compatibility. They think excitement means alignment. They think attraction is evidence. But chemistry is not a decision-making system. Chemistry is a reaction, and reactions can be misleading. Sometimes chemistry is not showing you who is right for your future. Sometimes it is showing you what feels familiar to your nervous system. That is very different. If someone grew up around inconsistency, mixed signals, criticism, emotional distance, chaos, or unpredictability, they may feel drawn to people who recreate that same pattern, not because it is healthy, because it is recognizable. It feels charged. It feels alive. It feels like something is happening. Meanwhile, a calm, respectful, steady person may feel less exciting at first. Not because they are wrong, but because they are not activating the same old emotional wiring. That is where many people make the mistake. They follow the strongest feeling instead of asking the better question. What does this connection actually build in my life? Does it create peace or confusion? Does it make me clearer or more distracted? Does it support stability or create emotional noise? Chemistry can start attraction, but it should never be allowed to lead the whole selection process. Because if chemistry is choosing for you, then you are often not choosing with awareness. You are repeating what your system already knows. Have you ever felt strong chemistry with someone who was clearly wrong for your peace or your future? One of the biggest reasons chemistry keeps choosing the wrong person is that chemistry often responds faster than judgment. It reacts before you have enough information, before patterns are clear, before character is tested, before consistency is proven. That makes chemistry powerful but not reliable. Someone can be attractive, intense, charming, expressive, and emotionally stimulating in the beginning. They can make you feel seen, wanted, alive, and pulled in, but none of that tells you how they handle frustration, boundaries, stress, boredom, honesty, accountability, or long-term stability. This is why so many people end up saying the same thing later. I felt it so strongly, so I thought it had to be real. But strong does not always mean good. Strong does not always mean safe. Strong does not always mean suitable. A lot of people are not selecting based on who can build a healthy life with them. They are selecting based on who creates the strongest emotional spike. And emotional spikes are often terrible judges of long-term value. The real shift happens when you stop asking, "Do I feel chemistry?" and start asking, "What pattern is this person showing me? Do they bring consistency? Do they respect boundaries? Do they create clarity? Do they make daily life lighter or heavier? Do they strengthen your focus or pull you into emotional management?" That is how you stop letting chemistry drive and start letting observation lead. Because attraction without evaluation becomes a trap. What do you think people mistake for compatibility most often? Intensity, attraction, attention, or potential? The solution is not to ignore chemistry. The solution is to put chemistry in its proper place. Chemistry can be a signal. It cannot be the standard. The standard has to be bigger than a feeling. It has to include peace, consistency, emotional maturity, self-control, respect, honesty, and the ability to build something stable over time. Because the right person for your life is not just someone who makes you feel something powerful in the moment. It is someone whose presence still makes sense when emotion settles down and reality takes over. This is where intelligent selection begins. You slow down, you observe longer, you stop romanticizing confusion, you stop rewarding inconsistency, you stop calling destabilization passion, you stop treating attraction like proof. And something important happens when you do that. Your standards get cleaner, your choices get better, your peace stops being negotiable, and the kind of chemistry you value starts changing too. Because once you stop feeding old patterns, your system begins to recognize different things as attractive. Calm starts feeling safer. Consistency starts feeling stronger. Clarity starts feeling more appealing than drama. That is real growth. The goal is not to kill attraction. The goal is to stop being ruled by the wrong kind of attraction. Chemistry should be invited to the conversation, not handed full control of your future. Because if you choose only what feels intense, you may keep repeating the same lesson in different faces. And if you choose with observation, standards, and self-respect, chemistry stops choosing for you. You start choosing well. What would change first in your life if you stopped treating chemistry as proof and started treating it as only one small signal?